We should be better now. I see a lot of F's in the chat room. Not liking that. Yeah. Listen, John, I ended up turning it off. We got it taken care of. No more downloading that while we're streaming. I appreciate that. Looks like we got Ben in here too. All right, should be a little bit better that we have now. No more frame drops, nothing like that. All right. Let's see, who do we got here? We got everyone still here? Let's see what we got. Let's see if it's a little bit better now. Before I jump back into this, I want to make sure we're going to be good. I think we're good. We're not dropping any frames. Looks like we're okay now. All right, I think we're going to be all right for this. So, we'll jump right back into things here. We've got a battle of the basement, right? We got Broncos and Bears. Quite possibly the two worst teams in football because Arizona's seeming like they're going to be real good. Again, I appreciate that follow, Big Peppy Nips. I appreciate that. All right, so we got the battle of the basement here, right? So Denver ends up giving up 70 points last week. It just absolutely embarrassing, right? Like probably the most embarrassing thing we saw in the NFL last week. Sean Payton comes out in the offseason. He's calling out the previous regime taking stabs at everybody, and then it turns out that his team ends up giving up 70 points to the Dolphins. Just kind of embarrassing. Meanwhile, in Chicago, we've got another just absolute disaster of a team with quite, they've added some weapons in the offseason with DJ Moore, Justin Fields. He's been one of my guys this year. He's just frankly shit the bed. It just has not been a good situation for them at all this year. He comes out last week and they kind of coaxed him in the interviews saying like, oh yeah, getting him to kind of throw the coaches under the bus. But I just, it's unfortunate. I don't think he was really trying to blame anyone. He just did not play good. And even after he says that, he goes out and drops a dud as well. It just does not look good for the Bears this year. Big Peppy Nips, that's a good point right there, right? Uh, I think it is his last chance, right? Because right now this team hasn't won a game. There's a lot of teams right now that are looking at Caleb Williams from USC and Shador Sanders from Colorado, and they're saying, man, I'm sure this guy could probably help my team out a little bit. And I realize that's a common thought that a lot of these teams fans have. But the big issue with that I see is you could bring in a guy like Caleb Williams and say you trade away Justin Fields, maybe you get a few picks, maybe not this year in this year's draft, but a following year. Maybe you recoup a few guys in other positions, right? Maybe on defense, or you get a receiver for him and some package picks. Great. So you bring in Caleb Williams. Now he's going to be the leader of this team. First of all, I don't think he's going to want to play here, but say he decides he's going to. He's still going to have all the same problems that Justin Fields is having right now. There's still a coach that was not picked by this GM. There's still an offensive line that has holes all across it. They're having problems keeping the quarterback upright. And that's even to say with Justin Fields being a long processor and taking, almost 5 seconds to throw the ball, which you just can't do in the NFL. This isn't middle school football. This is the NFL. You've got guys like TJ Watt, uh, Micah Parsons, the Bosa's coming after you, Von Miller. Like, these guys are coming after you so fast. If you give them 5 seconds, they're going to get you on every single play. So you need to be able to process and go through your reads very quickly and be able to see exactly where your reads are. And if they're not open, you got to be able to move to the next one. That's as simple as it is. And if Justin Fields sees that something is not open, he needs to do instinctually what he wants to do, which is run the ball, extend the play, look downfield, see what he can do to try to get that first down. He's just not playing that way right now. He's staying in the pocket 4.5, 5 seconds, looking for these guys to get open, which in a lot of cases they are, and he's just not seeing it at the right time. He's not seeing the windows when he needs to see them, and he's not taking off and running to get that first down when he needs to do that as well. This is going to be a test for them because the Broncos just got their butts kicked. They're going to be coming into Chicago looking to try to get this win. How is Chicago going to respond? Are they going to be? Are they going to trounce the Broncos as well? I just don't think so. I think Denver gets a win here. I just think there's too much dysfunction right now in Chicago, and I don't think Eberflus is a bad coach. I just don't think he's the right coach that they need there. They've got all these defensive guys. Look at what the Colts did. They bring in Shane Steichen from Philly. Even, I still don't even like the hire of Gannon in Arizona. I don't think they need that. I think they need an offensive guy there. But there, you bring in like even a guy like Eric Bieniemy. Imagine him coming into the Bears, what he was able to do in Kansas City. And now you're seeing similar to what he was doing, similar in Kansas City to what he's doing in Washington, right? Yeah, they got crushed last week by Buffalo, but Buffalo's a pretty good team. When you see guys like this that are offensive play callers that understand the way offense is supposed to be played, they know how to put points up on the board, and it doesn't put as much stress on the defense. When you have defensive minded coaches, you've got to have a great offensive coordinator in order to be able to make things go. And I don't see that right now in Chicago. Talking about Denver real quick, and I just want to point this out before we move on here. Vance Joseph's the defensive coordinator in Denver, and he's been their previous head coach. He was one of the previous ones that they had there. So he spent quite a bit of time in Denver. Sean Payton gets hired in the offseason, but he's an offensive-minded coach. He's been a 15-year NFL coach. He was very successful in New Orleans, won a Super Bowl there, beat my Colts, was not happy about that, but he's got a Super Bowl under his belt. He's an offensive minded guy. And Denver has played a lot better on offense this year. I know their record doesn't show it, but they have played a lot better on offense this year than they were last year. If you remember, 12, 13 points was kind of the expectation every game for them. They've far exceeded that this season already. They're putting up points. Their defense is their sore spot now. And that's kind of a strange thing to see because even looking back, they've been able to hang their hat on their defense even since Peyton Manning was in there. That's how they made it to the Super Bowl. That's how they kind of earned that identity of we're a defense that just shuts people down with their no-fly zone and all of that. When your defense is giving up, forget 70 points. When your defense can't stop somebody, you're in trouble. And this team right now is in a lot of trouble, especially the division they playing Kansas City and the Chargers twice a year. Oh, that's brutal. It's going to look very, very bad for them. So, all right, let's move on here real quick. Let's get into the next game. We've got Baltimore at Cleveland. This is going to be kind of an interesting game. So you've got the best defense right now in the NFL in Cleveland. A lot of people are sleeping on them. They don't really know how good of a team they are because they feel like they haven't beaten anyone. But they've beaten some good teams. Right, like they've definitely played well. Yeah, they lost Nick Chubb and stuff. That wasn't a good feel, with that happening and stuff. Nick Chubb was a great running back in this NFL, and I really think that if his knee is able to come back, I know they found a little bit of damage to his ACL. Not a good sign. That kind of elongates his rehab coming back next season. But this team steps in with Jerome Ford, and it seems like they don't miss a beat. Might be a team maybe that could be looking at Jonathan Taylor. I don't really envision him going to Cleveland, but there is a chance of that being able to happen. So looking at Baltimore here, though, interesting because this is a team that lost to Indy last week in overtime. So I really like this team a lot. I think I definitely think Lamar Jackson's a great player. I just don't think every year we get promised something from Baltimore on offense, and every year we're let down. Every single year they get injured. They just, it seems like they're not bringing in guys that can stay healthy. And you're seeing the same guys, right? Mark Andrews is there. He's a good target for Lamar Jackson. They bring in Zay Flowers. He's been incredible as a rookie for them. But where's OBJ? Where's Rashad Bateman? OBJ got paid 15 million. Like, we haven't seen anything from him yet. He's just not, J.K. Dobbins, he was complaining about getting a contract at the beginning of the season. He's already out for the year, and that's not to throw shade at him or anything, but this guy just can't stay healthy. This team can't. Their guard was banged up. Their center was banged up. On defense, they're missing their safety and a corner and Williams and Humphrey. Like, it's just a rough season so far for them. I did not expect the Anthony Richardson-less Colts to beat Baltimore last week. Very disappointed by that. And I think they're playing against a good Cleveland team. Deshaun Watson, whether you like him or not, he's back. This guy knows how to play football. I'm not sure the level that he's back, if we're going to see Houston numbers from him, but this guy knows how to be able to fit into this offense. They run the ball extremely well. They throw the ball when they need to, and they play very, very good defense. They are like an anaconda on defense. They will strangle the life out of you. So this is a team that you really should be looking for, especially in this division. When you look at this with the way Cincinnati started out the year, they're 1-2. All three teams, right? You've got Cleveland, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh all have leads in this division right now. I see Cleveland rising to the top on this. Pittsburgh, if they're able to figure things out, maybe, but Cleveland is definitely here to stay, and people should be very nervous about them going forward. All right, moving on here, we got the Bengals in Tennessee. Tennessee. Okay, so let's start with the Bengals. This just has not been the team that we thought they were going to be, and the main issue is because they live and die by Joe Burrow. Now, he got a ton of money. He's the one quarterback in the league that I will say it does not matter if he's hurt. He is going to play. He is the type of guy that it doesn't matter if he's going to get banged up. He's going to get bruised. He's the most hit quarterback in the pocket in the last 5 years of football. They've brought in help every single year to try to help this guy on the offensive line, and it just seems like he's still getting hit. I know he's got the calf injury that's lingering and stuff. He's trying to fight through it. He doesn't look like himself. We saw it Monday night against the Rams. He just does not look like the normal Joe Burrow we're used to seeing. Yeah, Jamar Chase finally had a good game, but didn't have the touchdown and stuff. I just think Joe Burrow needs to be fully healthy before we start seeing this team start to score in the 30s and points. They're not running the ball particularly well. I would like to see Joe Mixon be more involved, and for them to be able to do that, it would take a lot of pressure off of Burrow. But let's see what ends up happening. I expect, at least in this game, I'm hoping Cincinnati's able to exploit Tennessee a little bit more than other teams have been able to. You saw Tennessee kind of hold the Chargers in check. They won that game. I don't think they should have, but they did because of some tomfoolery by Brandon Staley, who I'm shocked he's still coaching in this league. But again, I'm just the guy sitting here with a communications degree from URI. I'm not a real brilliant person, but this guy's getting paid millions, and he's going for it on fourth down from his own 20-yard line. So I don't know. Maybe someday people will Tom Telesco will wake up and decide to get rid of this guy, but it hasn't been this week so far. So anyhow, back to this. Talk about a coach that actually is doing things well. From the Bill Belichick tree, we've got Mike Vrabel here. So Mike Vrabel, he's just an excellent coach, and he really knows the game of football inside and out. Knows when to take chances. Knows how to be able to play the game and control the clock the way he needs to. So he'll play against other teams that are very high powered, like the Chargers, like the Bengals, and be able to take their key components that they have to their offensive team and shut them out. So in this, I expect Tennessee to run the ball very well. I also expect them to probably move on within the next few weeks from Ryan Tannehill. He's not playing particularly well. I don't think this team is well suited for Ryan Tannehill, and it's not because I think Tannehill's done or he's washed or any of that. They've got a terrible offensive line here. They really do. They have for years now, and it just a few years ago, Tannehill looked really good there. And when he got some time, he was able to make some good throws. But as of recently, he just has not been able to get the time that he needs to. Yeah, his skills are starting to diminish a little bit as he gets older, but this guy can still make plays if he gets the time to do it. He's just not getting time behind this offensive line. You've got probably the brightest part of the line, Pete Skoronsky. I think he was picked 11th or 12th this year in the draft. It wasn't 12th, might have been 11th, but regardless, he's been good at guard for them, but you need more than a rookie kind of leading this offensive line. Derrick Henry looks like a shell of his former self. He just has not looked good this year at all. He's splitting carries with Tyjae Spears. It makes me think that maybe, just maybe, he might be a little banged up. Maybe he's hurt. Maybe he's nursing an injury that we don't know about. I'm hoping that that's not the case, but I really think King Henry, you're going to start to see him come along in December. Um, I don't know. We haven't seen enough from him yet within these first 4 weeks to feel good about him yet. And he's splitting carries almost 50-50 with a rookie. That does not feel good. You've got Hopkins and Burks on the outside. I don't see a lot from them right now. Yeah, Hopkins is still a target magnet. Burks should be able to stretch the field, but when you don't get time to be able to throw the ball and push it down the field, they're not going to be very successful. I expect this game to be pretty close. I'm picking the Bengals to win it, but I think Tennessee, they play good defense and stuff. They're going to try to keep it close. If they can get pressure on Burrow, it's going to be really tough for the Bengals. But I still see the Bengals coming out on top here. All right, so we've got the Rams and the Colts, baby. All right, so the Rams, ever since trading Cam Akers, it looks like they're fully committed to Kyron Williams, which I don't know exactly how that's going to bode in the coming weeks. I mean, this guy's doing everything. He's running back punt returns too. The guy's 185 pounds. I'm not sure how much he can hold up over an 18 game schedule. I don't know. I don't see it. They should have, and this is kind of the interesting piece about the Rams. Cooper Kupp is set to come back next week. Now, they said he's going to start practicing. I don't know whether he's actually going to be playing in the game next week or not, but I think it's very interesting that he's back or going to be back. You've got Puka Nacua that stepped in. He's played very well in a Cup's absence. Stafford seems to be gelling with these young guys that there was reports, oh, he can't reach any of them. Well, it seems he's able to, because Puka Nacua has lit the NFL on fire the last few weeks. Yeah, he had a little bit of a down week last week, but this Rams team has been I think they've exceeded expectations of what most people expected so far. I really like what I'm seeing out of Matt Stafford, and he's getting the line. They're blocking effectively for him. They're giving him time to be able to complete throws. I just think as long as they keep running the ball effectively with Kyron Williams, and they're going to keep setting up the play action, giving Matt Stafford time. I think when Kupp comes back, this could be a dangerous team in this division that could be looking to, scrape some wins off teams like Seattle and other teams within the NFC. So definitely be on the lookout for them. The Colts, I believe Richardson's back this week, and you're going to see, him running again. Listen, this guy ended up with a concussion. I understand it was kind of a freak play, him going into the end zone, falling back, bashing his head. He's not going to change the way he plays the game. This guy's big. He's physical. He's 6'4", 240. He's not going to change the way that he plays the game. He's going to run. He's going to try to be more careful, but he's still going to be in there on those tush-push touchdowns. Shane Steichen knows what he is. He's a much bigger Jalen Hurts who can really sling the ball when he needs to as well. I think you're going to start to see a lot out of Anthony Richardson this season, and a potential Rookie of the Year candidate. He's going to be competing with guys like C.J. Stroud, and I just think he's a better quarterback than him right now, but he's got to go out and prove it. He is a freak athlete, and you will see some plays from him, maybe in this game where you just you have to pick your jaw off because you're kind of shocked that he was able to do it. I definitely think he's starting to gel with Josh Downs. You saw that a little bit before he was injured and out last week, but I really think Joshua Downs is going to be a guy that ends up coming in big for the Colts, especially within the next few weeks here. I think the Colts are going to be able to win this game. even though I think the Rams can throw the ball effectively and stay in. That's the only thing that concerns me a tiny bit about the Rams is that the Colts have a very, very weak secondary. Matt Stafford's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's going to be able to exploit some of that, but I really think you can only do so much to slow down a guy like Richardson. I think the Colts end up winning this game. All right, moving on here. We got Tampa Bay and New Orleans. And I believe this is going to be, I didn't check to see if there was an update on it, but I believe this is going to be the Derek Carr-less New Orleans Saints today. I know that they said he was at practice and stuff, and this guy's a tough guy, but I didn't see the update whether he's going to be playing today or not. Tampa Bay, listen, Baker Mayfield, I know they got shut down last week by Philly. We all kind of expected that. They needed to kind of come back and regress towards the mean a little bit. Tampa Bay had to fall back to earth. They're a good team that plays good defense. They're just not a great team. And when you play a great team like Philly, that's what's going to end up happening. I still think there's a lot of playmakers on this team with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You've got great playmakers on defense from that Super Bowl win that they did have. My big thing is I think if they end up losing the next few weeks and dropping a few more games, I think you start to see guys like Mike Evans get traded. Godwin's a little bit younger than him. He's been very serviceable. He's a great slot receiver. He's recovered very well from that ACL tear. I think they're going to end up keeping him there, but I could see them moving on from Mike Evans. Um, in regards to the Saints, this is kind of interesting because you have Alvin Kamara coming back this week off suspension. Remember, he was suspended for those 3 games for that incident that he had with fighting and stuff. He's back now. Jamal Williams is on IR, and the rookie didn't really show much for us. In terms of last week, in terms of rushing the ball, I think you can get a good rhythm going with Kamara. Get him ingrained in. Remember, the reports out of camp were that when he showed back up, he was lean, he was mean, and he was looking very good. So I think this is a good spot. If Winston's playing today, he'll be the guy that's going to be leading them. Let's take a look real quick. I want to make sure I'm not giving you guys misinformation on that. Just give me a sec here to pull this up. I want to make sure that I'm giving you the right info on that game. So let's see. Just because if Derek Carr's there, this is a completely different game that we've got. I really think that I'd love to be able to see Derek Carr there. He's a tough guy. I really like him as a quarterback, and I really think the best thing for him was getting um, out of Vegas. All right. Well, this is pulling up. We got Pacheco, Stevenson, or B. Robinson. Wow. Okay. So, man, I'd have to say Pacheco in that. Listen, that's a good call right there. It's hard to bet against him, right? Because this Kansas City offense is definitely very good. Stevenson, I want to see more out of him before I'm sold on him. I'm still not certain that he's playing at the level where I feel confident starting him every week. Uh, and I still don't really like his role in the offense. If you look at the way he was last year, it looked like he was a workhorse back, and he just hasn't felt that way this season. It just hasn't been that way. It's been a little bit disappointing seeing him. So I would say Pacheco right now. Brian Robinson, I'll tell you, this is a guy that isn't as bad as people really think he is, and I think Bieniemy has definitely done well to be done right by him and plugging him in. You're seeing the way he's able to play as opposed to Antonio Gibson. Gibson just hasn't gotten the time that Robinson has. He's getting a lot of carries per week. Robinson might actually be a better play than Pacheco this week. And the reason I say that, if you look at who Kansas City's playing, we'll get to that in a little bit. But they're going to be playing the Jets. Jets have a good defense. I think it's going to be tough for Pacheco uh, with this, but it depends. If you got a flex spot, maybe you can run Pacheco and Brian Robinson. And I would definitely 100% play Tank Dell over Godwin. Tank Dell he's burst on the scene. He's one of the hottest receivers in fantasy right now, man. CJ Stroud, he's been playing really, really well, been lights out. You saw what they did against the Jaguars. They made them look foolish. And Tank Dell is his guy. Tank is real good, man. I would not leave Tank out of your flex. Listen, it's a tough decision between Robinson and Pacheco, just because he's getting all of the touches, right? It's if you're getting 17, 18 touches a game, that bodes really well. And I it could be something that could be really beneficial for him, but it's a gamble, right, man? And I think you got to go with your gut on that. Whatever you decide you feel for that, I would definitely say go with that because I think it's a toss up between both of them. Uh, if it was my team, I would probably stick with Pacheco because I think Kansas City is going to air the ball out and do pretty well. Yeah, listen, man, I'm 0-3 in one of my leagues. I had Garrett Wilson and Cooper Cup that I ended up taking, so I'm feeling terrible in that league. But if it were me, I think Pacheco's a good play, man. Kansas City's rolling, starting to get a rhythm on offense. If they get ahead quick on the Jets, it could be a brutal day for them. And I definitely see if they go up a touchdown or two, they're going to be running the ball effectively to try to set up that pass. I don't think you'd be wrong with going with Pacheco. Um, Evans versus Lattimore, man, that's going to be that is a matchup that. Listen, this is one that goes down in history. Anyone that's watching that has not seen the videos between these two going at it, definitely do yourself a favor, Google it, and you should go and check out that matchup because they fight every single time. It does not matter. Lattimore and Evans always fight every single game. Last year, I believe Evans and Lattimore both got thrown out of the game, or it was pretty close to that. Um, I mean, I don't know if both Bucks wide receivers, man. Godwin is just so Mike Evans, if we remember back to, and I don't want to use recency bias because Evans has been pretty good this year so far. Looking back to last year, he was statistically awful for fantasy. But Baker likes to throw it to Mike Evans. My whole thing is I just believe I really think Godwin's the guy if I got to pick someone in that matchup. If I'm picking a Bucks wide receiver, it's going to be Godwin. But watch me say that, bro, and then we turn around and all of a sudden Evans goes off for 3 touchdowns in the game. I don't want to see that happen, but it could. Sutton could have a big day, man. And I don't know if you've been watching it and stuff, but there's already the rumors of Jerry Jeudy possibly getting traded. That's been floating around. Marvin Mims is another guy. Like, I don't know if he's there, like on your waiver wire, but this is a guy, he's getting 2 catches a game. I don't know if you've seen like the target share for it, but he's got like 8 out of the 10 longest passing plays for the Broncos this year. So, man, it's just Mims is definitely a good target. I think the Broncos end up lighting it up against the Bears today. I was saying that earlier. I just think the Bears are just an absolute mess. So, and just looking here right now, I do not see Derek Carr on the injury report. Is he really playing? There, man, I feel like it AC joint. Like I feel like you can't play through that. But Derek Carr's a man. He's expected to start. Okay, yeah, expected to start. So, man, that's going to be a big deal, man. It is. I want to see more from Kamara. I got him coming back this week, so I'm hoping he's going to help out my Guillotine League team. I really need that. All right, let's move on here real quick because I know we're coming up against the game times here. A few more we got to get through. So we got Washington and Philly. I think this is honestly going to be a blowout. Jalen Hurts, I really think you're going to see a lot of what you just saw last week in terms of, hey, absolutely. Absolutely, man. Thanks for joining the chat. I really appreciate it. If you need anything, definitely let me know. I think this is going to be a blowout this week. We've got same recipe that we had with Buffalo, right? Except Jalen Hurts does it in a little bit of a different way. Hey, thanks, man, for the follow. Really appreciate that. Jalen Hurts just does it in a different way. And the reason I love Jalen Hurts so much, man, he could kill you through the air. He'll kill you on the ground. He could do it in a multitude of ways. And they've got so many playmakers on this team, especially with DeAndre Swift running the ball the way he is. Dallas Goedert really has not popped on the scene, but he might be a buy low candidate for some fantasy leagues where people are just sick of him. They're looking to dump him, but I really see him coming in and really having a decent game today. I'm hoping this is going to be his breakout campaign. Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, they kind of speak for themselves, right? Like, and the way this offensive line is, I feel like they're such a great team on offense. They gel together so well that I don't think you really are going to have to worry about them. They're going to absolutely crush Washington today. Sam Howell, if he goes out and throws 3-4 picks again, you're going to probably see him benched and a different quarterback in next week. I believe they've got Brissett as the backup. But this defense too, like you talk about this offense being good. This defense has some angry people with Jalen Carter, Hassan Reddick. Like these guys are just putting their foot in the, hand in the ground, and they're coming for you. Jalen Carter hasn't played as much as we were hoping for, but I definitely think he's going to be ingrained in more in the defense as we start to move through some of these games. Jordan Davis up front, big boy that just is going to get after the quarterback and really control the game. So I see Philly winning this one pretty big. All right, Minnesota and Carolina. I think it's probably going to be Minnesota in this. I think they get their first win. Am I wrong about that? Is it their first win? I might be. Maybe they won last week. Geez, am I brain dead on this? Minnesota, I definitely think is going to be having a good game against Carolina this week. Carolina's just not that good. I really think Minnesota's too good of a team and should not be counted out. No, they have not gotten a win this year. So the loss to the Chargers, Eagles, and Bucks. Two good teams, right, with the Chargers and the Eagles. But the Bucks, I don't think they should have lost to them in the first week. That was just kind of disappointing. But I think Minnesota gets it going early and often. I think you're going to see a lot of Alexander Madison. Jordan Addison, be on the lookout for him. He's one of my guys this year. He's been absolutely killing it. Each week he's creeping up more in terms of offensive plays that he's running, routes that he's running. I really think this is a guy that's primed to be, the T. Higgins, Devonta Smith type, 1A receiver for this team. And I think Jefferson's going to have another great game this week as well. I just don't think Carolina has enough to be able to compete with them. So definitely see Minnesota winning this one pretty big. All right, Steelers and Houston. Now, this is actually going to be an interesting matchup. You've got the Steelers that right now are 2-1. Atop the division in the AFC North. You've got Houston that just came off that big win over Jacksonville, where they just the wheels, they absolutely disassembled the wagon on Jacksonville and made them look very, very bad. CJ Stroud looks like an NFL quarterback. He looks like he's able to process things very well, which is very scary when you start to look around the league at guys like Justin Fields. Because when you got a guy in CJ Stroud that's coming in and he's able to process as quickly as he's able to, he's playing very, very well, and he's getting the receivers on that team going with Robert Woods, Nico Collins, Tank Dell's his favorite target. This is a dangerous team, and especially with them beating Jacksonville. Don't tell me that this division's not for the tanking. They've got a very tanking. I hope you didn't hear that. Don't tell me that this division's not for the taking. Little Tank Dell. There we go. So they've definitely got a good shot to be able to go and beat some of the better teams in this league. Especially the way they're playing is unafraid. I like what D'Amico Ryans has done here for this team. He's given them confidence. And CJ Stroud, like I said, he looks like an NFL quarterback, and he's not afraid of guys. So, meanwhile, on the other side, we're going to find out if he's afraid of this guy, TJ Watt, because this guy strikes fear into every man on the planet. Very, very good. Very aggressive, and the way he's playing right now, he's about to get 50 sacks this season. So definitely be on the lookout for the Steelers. I think they're going to start to get more comfortable with what they're doing. Najee Harris had a few longer runs last week, which definitely look good. I know they're utilizing Jaylen Warren, but listen, I'm a Najee sympathizer. I think he's definitely going to keep continuing to get better. Kenny Pickett, you're seeing him start to get better as well. I just think the way the season started with that drubbing from San Francisco, it just looked really, really bad for Pittsburgh. I'm hoping they're going to start to but continue to improve as things go. And I really want to see George Pickens start to pick it up a bit. I know that's kind of a weird saying there, but he really needs to. I want to start to see more separation from coverage, more acrobatic catches, and he needs to lead this team in the right direction, especially with Deontay Johnson being out. So definitely think this is going to be a good game. I think the Steelers end up winning this, but C.J. Stroud and Houston are not going away silently. All right, Raiders at the Chargers. Listen, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's out with in concussion protocol. I think the Raiders are absolute hot trash, just absolute trash. I hope they're not that. I hope that's not a nice thing to say. I'm hoping for their fan base and this team that their coach gets fired because he's just not an NFL coach. I don't think he deals with things properly. I don't think he schemes properly, and I think he needs a lot more time in Belichick's tree before he can should take a head coaching spot. This is the third one if you include him accepting the job with Indianapolis and then quitting overnight. This is his third coaching job, and he hasn't been successful at any of them. So really would like to see someone else with the Raiders and someone that really can drive this team in the right direction. A lot of guys here with Max Crosby, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs. I really want to see those guys have success. But if the Raiders continue to play the way they are, I really hope for their benefit that they trade all three of those guys and start afresh. I just don't care for Josh McDaniels at all. I don't think he's a good NFL coach. And kind of funny that he's playing against another guy that I don't think is a good NFL coach in Brandon Staley. Uh, Another guy that I think is on the hot seat. We could be looking at one of these coaches getting fired after this game. If Brandon Staley ends up going for it on fourth down and misses again, there is a good chance that he could be looking for a job, probably in sales somewhere, because he's not going to be getting a job as an NFL coach again. I think the Chargers have way too much talent. Justin Herbert's window is closing, and I say that with all due respect. I really like Justin Herbert, but there's only so many years you get in an NFL career. We've seen 5 years now of them screwing around with the controls and not following the instructions properly. I'm sick of them taking the Ferrari out for a drive and crashing it and then expecting us to buy them a new one. I want to see Justin Herbert be able to use all the weapons that he has the way he was meant to do it. This defense has so much talent from top to bottom, yet it seems like they're not able to stop people. It's mind blowing to me. The Chargers are one of the teams in the NFL with the most talent that I feel like should be winning many games by at least 2 touchdowns. And instead, they're always winning by a point or 3 points or losing by a point. I don't understand that. So I hope, like I said, my hope is that the Chargers end up crushing the Raiders in this game. I definitely want to see that happen, but we could be looking at a coach looking for a new job after this game. All right, so we got Dallas and New England. New England going to Dallas, Big D for this. So, listen, anytime Bill Belichick's your coach, you got a chance. Dallas has been licking their wounds ever since that piss poor game against Arizona. It has not looked good for them at all. Not at all. It was a really, really, yeah. That Cardinals loss was just embarrassing. Wait, why was it bad for the Pats? I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure why it's bad for the Pats, but I really think, to be honest, that the way Dallas handled that. Oh, you're true. You're right about that. They did need the overlook. Yeah, I really think, and I'm going out on a limb here. I think New England goes in and beats them. And I think I'm not a Mac Jones fan, but maybe he hits enough guys in the nuts on Dallas's team that they're able to run the ball effectively. And Bill O'Brien has actually been doing better. I just don't think he's been doing as well as I would hope. They definitely look like an offense this year. My only concern is protection for Mac Jones because Micah Parsons is an absolute stud. It's nerve wracking anytime you got to play against him. I'd definitely be concerned about him. I'm just not sure the way they kind of handled this whole thing with like, oh, we played down to their level. No, you didn't. You just played like shit. That was it. That's all that happened. You guys played poorly. Just come out and say that, because Arizona is playing up at a different level than I guess we thought they were going to this year. Dallas, there's two different teams that could come out of this, right? Dallas could come out on fire and play very, very well, run the ball very well, like they have been doing, and score a lot of points, or they could do exactly what they did last game, which is kick a bunch of field goals in the red zone and not convert. I don't know. It depends what's going to happen here, but I would not be surprised. I'm going to pick Dallas to win this game, but I would not be surprised if New England does get the yeah, you're right. You can always count on Dak for a few turnovers, and that's kind of sad, man. Like ever since he ended up breaking his ankle horrifically, like I feel like he cannot be trusted anymore for that. This was supposed to be a great year with Brandon Cooks coming in, and they just have not looked the part. So, really hoping Tony Pollard has a good day for my fantasy team, though. All right. So we got the Cardinals at the 49ers. So we're talking about the Cardinals here. They're definitely, riding high off of that win with Dallas, but now they're facing a real football team in San Francisco. It's going to be ugly for them, but that's okay. There are games that you can learn from, and this is probably going to be one of them. San Francisco just is loaded on offense. They are loaded on defense, and they're going to be very difficult to beat. Brock Purdy has been playing very, very well. He's doing exactly what he needs to. He's not doing anything extra. Exactly what's expected from him every single game. And when you have playmakers like CMC, Debo, George Kittle, I know Brandon Ayuk still nursing the AC joints, but when you have weapons like that, it's very difficult to mess it up. So I definitely have San Francisco winning this one pretty big. All right, so we got Kansas City at the Jets. I know we were talking a little bit about this before when Killer QB8 hopped in and was talking about Isaiah Pacheco. I think Kansas City is going to win this one big. I just don't think. I think this is finally the week that they benched Zach Wilson. Like, it's needed to happen when you have half the country knowing that a decision should be made and the coach still goes out there and tries to hide behind it and say, oh no, this is our guy. It wasn't even believable listening to it in the press conference. It's like, listen, bro, lie to me. I can deal with that. But don't lie to yourself. Like, he couldn't, if he watched that again, I'd love to be sitting next to him and be like, do you believe yourself when you say that? Because there's no way. I know that there's guys on this defense that are going up to him and saying, dude, if you start that guy again, don't even bother asking me to suit up next week. He's just not an NFL quarterback. Yeah, he spent time under Aaron Rodgers. He needed a full year. Yeah, it wasn't his fault that, Aaron Rodgers got hurt 4 plays into the season. I get that piece. They need to figure out a solution. And Trevor Siemian may not be it. I don't know why. Again, I'm scratching my head. Why did you keep Zach Wilson on this roster? Let Mike White sign somewhere else. Like, why did you do that? You're seeing what Mike White did last week against Denver when he came in substitution of Tua late in the game. I mean, that guy's an NFL quarterback. I don't get it. Mike White played so well for them last year. Where's Joe Flacco? Why not keep him and get rid of Wilson? It makes no sense to me. Kansas City, not only with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, but Taylor Swift in the house, they are going to absolutely crush this Jets team. It is going to be demoralizing today, and they are going to do it. They are Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, listen to me. Please make them regret starting Wilson. Do the world a favor and get this guy off the football field. Please. Put up 48 points against them. And Chris Jones, if you get your chance to get a hand on him, please take this guy to the turf. Don't hurt him. Take him to the turf and make sure he's not coming back in. Don't hurt him. All right. Kansas City's winning that one real big. All right. And so we've got Seattle and the Giants. I think that's the last one we've got before we wrap up here. But Seattle and the Giants. Okay, so Geno Smith and company, I really like what they've been doing this year. I think they're flying under the radar. I'm hoping his tackles are starting to get healthy. Really liking what I'm seeing out of Kenneth Walker. Again, this guy he reminds me a little bit of Derrick Henry, a little more agile than Henry, but a little bit in that you give this guy 25 touches a game, he gets better as the game goes on. He wears defenses down, and he always has the chance to break the big play. I really like what I'm seeing out of them. Geno Smith, I know he got off kind of slow, but really liked what he's been doing this year. So, yeah, mixed message, destroy him. Thank you, Vash. I appreciate it. All right. And this Giants team, listen, they're extremely well coached with Brian Daboll. It's clear that like Daboll is being missed in Buffalo with how good of a coach he is. I think until they get Saquon back, I still think they're kind of missing on a lot of things. I just think Seattle ends up running them over. I don't think they have what they need on defense. I still don't think they have a good receiver on this team. Other than Darren Waller playing tight end, I just don't see that threat at receiver. And listen, Darren Waller in a lot of cases is the best athlete on the field in many circumstances. But if you put a number one receiver, like if you put a DK Metcalf out beside him, it makes both of them better. Both of them. So I really think the Giants need to go after a good receiver and get one of them on their team. Okay, let's see here, guys. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you like the content here, make sure follow me on Twitter at Willie Creamin FF. Again, Twitch, Willie Creamin here. Guys, we got a YouTube channel as well. I'm doing the Pulse with my buddy Al. We've been absolutely loving it. And you'll find links on my Twitter for that. I post videos every day for it. We do baseball coverage, football coverage, all that. But just wanted to thank you guys and really appreciate all the follows, all the questions, everything. Really loved it this week. So thank you so much. I promise as you send me messages and stuff, I'll definitely get into them next week to give more fantasy advice. I got on a little bit late today, but next week we'll try to get things rolling a little bit faster. Thank you so much. Good luck on your games, boys. Take care.